Good evening, everyone. Look who I have sitting next to me. I have this lady right here, Miss Wanda. Now, everyone knows that we're on Intellectual Radio. Well, there's the other Winfrey that owns it, and then there's the producer, director, owner.
Oh, you throwing so many like extras behind there. I like that.
That's
I like
Miss
that.
Wanda.
I
If
don't know
he
if he
said,
called me in
she
on.
said. Miss
Yay!
Wanda. Now, her show
It's
comes on Sundays from 2 to 4.
Sunday fun day. We have a fun day of shows here at Intellectual Radio, and Voices of Change is one of my
And he said,
favorites.
she said, I typically get my ideas from watching that. One of my favorites.
That's funny because I want to use your topic. Are we doing a part two
Well,
too,
we're
or the week
remember,
before?
I think it was the week before,
The
and we
week
kind of talked
before.
about dating, what happened to dating.
Yes.
So we're going to kind of get into that a little bit. But the interesting thing about this time, I talked to the men because I know how it is from a woman's perspective. We'll talk about both. And I talked to several men to get their perspective of it. So I'm going to try to be the voice of the other side today. And of course, the voice of,
And the voice of change.
and the voice of and the voice of change. We're not going to be in here all night. We're only going to be in here an hour. So I want you to share, and like. I know everyone's excited about the game tonight. You watching the
Yes.
games?
I watched the first game, I must say. I did see Toronto win, and
Oh,
I want
jeez.
Toronto to. You want?
What did you say?
Yes, I want Toronto to win. You know what? The underdogs. I'm
Well,
tired of watching Seth and no, that's
yeah,
not his
Stefan.
name.
Yeah, Stefan. But you
Steph.
know what? I don't care. As long as they don't get six, it don't matter. I kind of want them to win. As long as they don't get six, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I'm
I
actually
like that
freaking.
we're on opposing. You're team
Yes.
Warrior and I'm team Raptor.
My team's going to win tonight, and we're going to find out because next week when I see you, I'll say, "Who? What?" Well, they'll have another. They'll have a couple games by then.
Maybe. So we'll see. We'll see if it'll be the Raptors
We'll
or
see
the
if Golden
Warriors.
State is going to be on top of the board instead of how it is now. I cannot believe they didn't win. But anyway, it's okay.
When is the guy that's hurt coming back? Well, let me
I
stop
don't
talking
know.
sports like I know sports.
That's
But I
all
need
right.
him not to come back.
No, you did. No, wait. No. We
I
want
don't care how I win, okay?
we want an equal playing field now. So we want,
It's equal. Nobody told him to get hurt.
oh no, you did.
Kevin, right? Kevin Durant.
Anyway, we appreciate all of you guys tuning in because I know you're getting ready for the game. My name is Jan, and I'll be your host. And I have this lovely lady next to me, and I'm gonna call her the special host because she would never be a co-host since this is like
Yes, I would.
a co-host. No,
Yes, that's my funnest. It's funnest word. Funnest job
a
ever.
co-host.
Ever. Love it.
I just seem so funny for an owner to be a co-host. I'm just so honored. Anyway, a big shout out to all of our partners. We have Oda Credit Solutions, GV Entertainment, Oda Enterprises, and Gray Tax Service. For today's show, I'm going to be discussing, as I mentioned before, dating. And this came from a conversation we had, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And we were saying, whatever happened to the time when young girls or young women or middle age or older women would, wait impatiently for a date all dressed up in their heels, getting ready to go out on the town or go somewhere special, instead of having someone say, you know what, I'll stop by and maybe bring a pizza and we can watch Netflix.
Netflix and chill.
So we were asking ourselves, whatever happened to that? And that's when I kind of delved into it and talked to a few guys and got some very interesting pointers on that. We always start our show off with scriptures for today. It is from Ecclesiastes 3:1. And it says, to everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And there's definitely a season and a time for everything. So we're going to go right into our news you can use. We have a couple interesting stories. We're going to open up our telephone lines today. Talk about the dating segment. I had a couple comments on women saying, I have a nice guy. I have this kind of guy, or this is a great topic, or you should mention this. So we're going to open up our lines. And if you can get through, we'll have them open and you can call in and make your comments. So the first story on news you can use, man, this person is really Spider-Man. The first story on news you can use, a national campgrounds company fired a property manager who chased a married couple with a gun because they accidentally trespassed. On Sunday, Jessica, 26, and Franklin Richardson, 28, of Starkville, Mississippi, visited Oktibbeha County Lake to enjoy a Memorial Day picnic with their dog. The lake belongs to the Oktibbeha High School District, but the Richardsons encroached into private property owned by Starkville Campgrounds of America, a camping site close to Mississippi State with a water park, RV, and kayak rentals and cabins. Jessica complained that their picnic plans were stopped by a property owner named Ruby Howell. She wore a yellow KOA shirt. Her husband, who's a vet, the 2-year-old dog, and Jessica all decided to Google a lake visit and have a picnic. They found a lake located in Starkville and decided to visit. Not 5 minutes later, now this is a black couple in Mississippi. A truck pulls up and a white lady screams at us. She then jumps out of her truck with a gun and proceeded to point it at us, all three of us, simply because we didn't make reservations. I'd kind of take that a step further. What you think? It's not because they didn't make reservations.
No, I think there is a thing called doing anything while black.
Oh my
And
gosh, they're at campgrounds though.
but I don't want to say fair, but they were trespassing, right? Just
Well,
by mistake.
yeah, because they did make reservations. You know how you Google something, oh, let's go by there. It's a nice, like today, it's a nice day. Let's go by there. But for her to come there and pull a gun out on them, a
Uh,
gun.
Unfortunately, if you do anything while black, you're susceptible to the ramifications of it. This is not the day and age of is it's horrible.
How
And
many years
so
back has that taken us? I mean, think about that. We've heard of college students. We heard of walking while black, driving while black. I mean, this is taking us back so many years.
yes, it has. I though would I'm almost expecting this nowadays when I do
Jeez,
things. I say to myself, I can't get away with
I do
this
too.
because I'm black.
So I have to dot my I's and cross my T's and make sure
Exactly.
I have everything that I need.
Which is not right, but unfortunately, that is what I feel. And I think in this same instance, I would have already been a little leery. I wonder if they knew it was private property when they went to the campground in the first place. Not that they're in the wrong. No one should pull out a gun on you
Right.
or
And she supposedly got fired. I wonder for how long, maybe till the story dies down. Okay.
yeah, she didn't get
Okay, I'm being cynical. Okay.
fired. You know, you're right, Janice. She got a slap on the hand to make
Right.
it. We'll see you back in 2 weeks when this
Right. When the
dies
story
down.
dies down. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. When you go to a camp, when I've been to campgrounds, I don't think I made, particularly if I wasn't going to stay out, if it was just, if I was going to be there for a couple hours, are you going to make reservations? I don't know. Maybe you were supposed
I
to.
think I would check though before I went somewhere like a
Okay.
campground to find
Okay.
out if you're supposed to be on the spot. But black people stop camping.
Well, and I wonder why.
Go to a hotel.
Well, see, well, that's how I am. That's how I feel. Okay.
Well, you know you got to make reservations. We're gonna be
Right.
out there anyway. No, I'm joking.
Oh my gosh! You say, wait, what black people doing camping? No.
Right. What,
And that's how
what
the
is
ladies,
y'all out there
and that's how
for?
Ruby felt. What these people doing out
What
here?
y'all doing out here? Y'all know y'all don't camp.
Y'all don't belong out here.
Y'all don't belong out here in these woods. What you doing out here in these parts?
Well, it'd be interesting to know, and I know no one can really follow up on it because how they normally do, they make they say that they're fired and then they kind of slip them in the back door. So
Right.
now this is something interesting in a city right next door to us. Milwaukee declares racism a public health crisis. Milwaukee, Wisconsin has become the first U.S. city to declare racism a public health crisis. Now, when I read that, I thought it was kind of interesting because okay, now since you've declared this a public health crisis, now what?
Now, what does that mean?
Right.
What does that allow me to use my
Right,
insurance
right.
not to be harassed?
I mean, because doctors and the medical field know that there's health disparities and all kind of problems due to racism. But what does the city of Milwaukee by declaring it? I'd be interested. And if anybody knows,
Let us know.
please enlighten.
708-223-8953. Let
Yep.
us know. We'd love to hear it because we cannot quite understand what the public health crisis means. That they're now on high alert because of racism. They can use their insurance and get a day off work. I have,
Right,
I
because
have
I'm
a case of
black.
racism. Can I not come in today? What does that afford you
Right. What
in
does it
life?
mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean?
I don't know. I know someone knows, and there's probably someone there from Milwaukee listening. So let us know what that means. The next story is kind of sad, and when I talked about going back, how many years have we went back? This one is about slavery. After video surfaced showing migrants apparently being sold at auction in Libya, people worldwide have been calling for action. Last week, CNN published a report of modern slavery in Libya, featuring a video that reportedly was shot in August and appeared to show a man selling African migrants to farm
Selling
work.
people?
Selling people. It said big, strong boys, the man said in the video, according to the CNN narrator. 400, 700, 800. He called out the mounting prices. The men were eventually sold for about $400 each. The Libyan government said it has launched an investigation into slave auctions in the country. Following the CNN report, demonstrators took to the streets in Paris and other cities last week to express their outrage, and Libyans showed their solidarity on Twitter. Several world leaders spoke out as well. I didn't see ours that spoke out. However, rights advocates caution that real action may be slow in coming. People are rightfully outraged. Human Rights Watch researcher Hannah Salah told Reuters of CNN's video on Monday, but don't hold your breath that anything real is going to happen. To end the slave trade, we need to stop human smuggling. You do that by destroying their business model, and you do that by decriminalizing migration and encouraging migration that is documented, safe, and secure for all. I've been hearing about this, and you probably seen on Facebook too, how they have these young black, young Africans kind of tied together with a chain and walking them through. Have you been? I've been seeing so much of it the past year. Libya is really a hot spot for it. There's other places too, but Libya is just getting way out of control.
Chris says that this has been going on. Hi, Chris.
Oh,
This has been going on in Libya for years. And I would, this seems like it would be, but of course, I think we know our Trump friend is not going to say anything about this.
yeah, well,
He doesn't care about that.
but you figure if world leaders, okay, if I was a world leader, even if I kind of was on the fence, I would still say the right thing. I don't know. But then he doesn't say the right thing. Recently, he's on his way to the UK if he's not there already, if he hasn't landed already, to meet with Harry, the Queen, and everyone else. So Meghan Markle, she don't want to meet him. And she said some things about him in 2016. He called her nasty.
Wow. You can't
What do you do?
you can't expect this man to say anything positive, helpful in the situation. He probably thinks this is actually a good idea. He probably thinks, what have they done to get themselves caught? Who knows? So I think it's better if he just stays quiet. What did your mama say? If you don't have anything good to
Don't
say,
say
don't say
anything at
anything.
all.
It's better if he just doesn't say anything and embarrass us in this situation.
Because he embarrasses us over and
Yes,
over and
yes.
over again.
And he would again. But maybe should Obama, would it look if what elected should we have some other elected officials say something?
I mean, anyone can say something of outrage when they're having people as slaves. I mean, anybody can. Yeah, of course, Obama. Anybody could. Um, I didn't know that's good that he mentioned this. I'd like to look further into it because I know the past year I've been hearing a whole lot about it and seeing these horrific pictures. I mean, they're like chained together.
Like slavery. I mean, there's nothing.
Slavery. Yeah,
I can't imagine, but I think unfortunately we get desensitized.
we do because we see so much.
See so much death. It's like this would not really move anyone because they think, oh, my life is hard, or they don't want to get involved in things that are not happening
Or not, they don't think
on
impacting
US.
them.
Impacting them is a
Right.
better way of
Right.
saying that. Yes, Janice. That doesn't affect their life. They don't see it. They feel like they have a hard life. They just can't get involved in what's happening overseas when there's so much happening in the United States.
Not
In some
thinking, not
people.
having foresight and thinking that if it's happening there and they get away with it, that's how things spread from continent to continent. And I know that's a stretch. Now there is a researcher who has picked the last 9 presidents accurately, the last 9, which is really scary because he picked Trump. And this guy came out and said in 2020, Trump is going to win unless he's impeached.
Oh,
I thought it was interesting because he picked Trump, and I thought it was just crazy. But anyway,
I thought it was crazy. In the beginning of Trump, you thought for
I just
sure you
thought,
didn't know who, but you didn't think him. You thought he was the biggest joke, and this would be
but that's what
impossible.
blindsided us. Really, that's that blindsided us
And
to
his
me.
payment plan, I mean, him paying off whoever to help him win.
Oh
I
my
mean, money can
gosh.
blindside everything.
And his
So,
collusion with Russia, we're not going to even talk about that because that's kind of still ongoing in a sense that it's kind of out there and it's kind of known, and I don't think there's going to be anything done about it. And I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They don't want to impeach him because they keep saying if we impeach him and we don't have enough to really get him out of there, then he's going to definitely win because he'll win on sympathy.
and that could happen. Chris says, no, not Trump. Trump has taken on an adversarial position against the United Nations. He's so petty that he would probably endorse the slavers
Oh,
just
jeez.
to oppose the UN. I totally agree,
He is.
Chris.
He is in opposition. He is.
He loves to choose a side, and if he chooses a side, it doesn't matter whether you're right, wrong.
He
It's
is
what
petty. He's
he's
a
very petty. That's a good word for him, Chris. Petty. He's petty. So you don't even he doesn't even need to get involved in this situation. And if
he
he could
won't.
have it, he would bring it back to the
Oh,
United States.
jeez.
I could actually see him. It. I could actually see him involved in something like this.
Mm. I see that I have a few people out there watching. I want you to share, share, share. Makiba, hey. Cynthia, hello. Mary, hello. How are you doing? Chris, welcome. Romaine, welcome. Valerie Williams, welcome. Alabama father, 23-year-old, shoots his 6-month-old daughter dead in the street before killing himself after a domestic dispute with the girl's mother. Police were summoned in a domestic disturbance in Anniston on Sunday and found Trenton Gordon and his 6-month-old daughter dead at the scene. According to investigators, Gordon arrived with his daughter at the home of girl's mother shortly before 1 p.m. when an argument broke out. In the dispute, Gordon pulled out a pistol and shot his daughter's maternal grandfather in the arm. He then took his daughter out into the middle of the street and shot her dead before killing himself. Police say the mother of the girl had recently filed for protection from abuse order against Gordon. Why am I hearing this so much? There were like men killing babies. I didn't even want to. I didn't even mention them all. I mean, 3 stories this week.
It, this is just I don't know what to say with this. I've never 23, he's young, but mental health has to be there are people out here with some serious issues, and keep them away from your children or keep them away from their own. This was his
This was
daughter,
his daughter,
6 months old, a
but
little
took her
infant.
out in the street. It's like,
I don't need to there shouldn't even be a trial for people like him. That just I believe in the death penalty. I believe
you do.
in certain instances.
I used to not believe in it, life and death and stuff, but I'm
That's
with you.
true.
If it's beyond a shadow of a doubt, why even waste the money when we all know that in many states they're paying more for prisons than they're paying for education. But in a case like that where beyond a shadow of a doubt, why even have him incarcerated for 40, 50? How old is he? 20? He could
23.
live 60, 70 more years. Think
And
about
you're
it.
gonna give him life. It'd be different if you were if they had a way to rehabilitate in prisons, then I wouldn't say that. If I knew that they'd get to go to school while they're in prison, they get extreme counseling, and there's some job when you get out. There's set employment for people that have been in prison. Then maybe I wouldn't. But for death, I don't know. Shooting your baby,
Oh my God.
I
Take
don't
him in the
know.
street like a no, you can't even do a dog like that. I think you'll
Yeah,
go to jail if you take a dog and shoot. Yeah, you will.
you would get a higher penalty shooting someone black.
Yeah, well.
Dog
Oh, you know
is
what?
over shooting someone black. It
You say
is
animal
true.
shoot someone black.
You don't even get that's how it is. I mean, you could do some serious time for killing a dog,
You can.
but black you get off with a slap on the back of the wrist, and people saying 6 years is too long for you to
But
serve.
do all these people have mental health? Do you think? I mean, like this week, there were three incidents like this that hit the news,
No,
and all these others. What's going on?
I don't know if I should say mental health
Maybe
because
maybe it is. I don't know.
the one I think story I do know about, I think they even said that he molested or raped
Oh, the
the
one.
baby.
Now you don't think that's
So
he crazy?
so
What the?
that's crazy,
What
but
the?
that's a level of crazy that
Oh,
mental health, I don't think a psychologist could sit with you long enough and fix.
now that person right there, how he bust that baby open like that. Mm, mm.
So
Yeah.
in these kind of situations, I'm almost okay with the death
I
penalty, I
know
think.
it makes me lean where I've never leaned before because I've never been an advocate of it. But then again, I'd have to say that's not true because if something happened to my family or a family member and somebody came in there and did something and they knew it was them, I'd want them to have it.
If you
You
knew it
know,
was
right?
them,
You know what I'm saying? So
I'd have to know it was them
yeah,
though. If
beyond a
there's
shadow of a
any
doubt. Right,
shadow of a
right.
doubt about it, but if you confessed or we caught you in the act,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, yeah. So the soulful bass singer of the Dramatics, Willie Ford, passed away at 68
I
years
didn't
old.
hear
Yeah,
that.
I just heard that recently. They
Wow.
didn't even have the information of what happened. So, what is this one? Okay.
As a stepper, we steppers love the
I
dramatics.
love the Dramatics. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, this is a terrible story right here. I could
none of these stories have been really good
I
yet.
could I could hardly
They're all
believe
pretty
this one. I
terrible.
mean, it was such a stretch. An all-white jury in Kansas just sentenced a black male, Albert N. Wilson, because 3 years ago, the now 23-year-old, then 20, met a white teen, then 17, in a bar called Jayhawk, and it was for adults 21 years or older. The two ended up making out with each other after having drinks at the bar, and that has landed in jail for a 12-year sentence. On April 3rd, 2019, the Douglas County District Judge sentenced Wilson, a college graduate, to just over 12 years in prison for kissing and making out with the then 17-year-old. DNA tests concluded that intercourse had not taken place, nor bodily fluids were found on the victim, according to a scientist with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation who spoke during the trial. The only thing that was found on the alleged victim's body was his saliva, but it was alleged that she was raped. The alleged rape occurred in September 2016, where the victim was examined. Reportedly, swab analysis was done, validating again there was no sexual intercourse. Many are calling the incident and sentencing an example of injustice to African Americans. Of course, it is. An example of a comparison is a case involving a white male, Brock Turner, then 22, who was sentenced in June 2016 to a merely 6 months for raping an unconscious woman. Turner ended up only serving 3 months of his 6 month sentence. Now, this guy Wilson, who they've tested multiple times, no fluids, no intercourse, making out, is getting 12 years. Currently, a petition is in place to help support Albert Wilson and the injustice that he is facing. The petition, which is online at change.org, currently has a little over 26,000 of the 35,000 signatures needed. He is in jail right now for 12. Can you believe that?
For kissing her?
Because it was alleged. What happened was
Alleged rape.
they were making out, and I guess how you gonna make out public and not think nobody gonna see it? So she cried rape, but there was no evidence of rape.
And an all white jury.
Yes, but no evidence. How can you do that when there's no fluids, no evidence of intercourse? So he in jail for kissing, for making out.
So if the DNA, no evidence of intercourse, so then what is considered rape? Kissing
You
someone?
know what? I don't know.
12 years?
12 freaking years.
No, I'm just gonna say, Emmett Till, the story of Emmett
Oh
Till
my
should have taught
God.
us a little
You know
lesson.
what? Yeah, now I'm not trying to preach or anything. Where was he at? Alabama. Oh, Kansas. I'm like
Kansas,
Alabama.
Kansas, just as bad, just as
Yeah.
bad.
Emmett Till, yeah.
I've been driving through Kansas and I've had some experiences that
Really?
I felt like, okay, I'm not going to get out and get gas right here because he has a big rifle and he's dressed in camouflage and he just looks like
He crazy.
what you doing over here in these parts.
What you doing over here, girl? And he got
And
them
I
Illinois
know I'm
license.
driving while black. I An all white jury isn't a jury of your peers, period.
Right.
So that shouldn't even be allowed. So he obviously didn't have good representation or
If
even
any. I
if
mean,
any.
that's one of the big problems. We don't have the money, the funds sometimes to get representation. So whoever represents us, they don't care. They just, okay, let me get through this. If they reach a file.
Chris said the story was totally racial and bogus. So true. And she was embarrassed that she was
Yeah,
caught
that's
with a
what
black
happens.
boy and her family
And
shamed her.
and that's what happens. I mean, just like Emmett Till, he didn't do anything. The woman alleged he whistled at her.
He whistled at
And
her.
then she said when she got 80 some years old, oh, he didn't really whistle at me. Girl, Now, how come she not in jail somewhere?
Right, which she should be. She should serve out the rest of her little life in jail for what she
Oh
did.
my
But this
gosh.
seems unreasonable
This
because
seems unreal. When I read, I kept going, I don't believe this.
interracial relationships are not as taboo as, or are they? Am I wrong?
No, you're
I
right.
guess to some families
It
it
just
is.
depends on who the audience is. I mean, think about it. Parts of America is so divided, depends on who the audience
And it's
is.
more divided than it's been in a long time.
Yeah. So,
Chris said Emmett Till or Thompson in To Kill a Mockingbird.
yeah, oh, yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird, same thing. Yeah.
This has been going on,
It
which
has.
be careful. We need to tell
Well,
all our little boys, our little brown boys, to be careful of who they choose. Because yes, they may go along with it, but their families
that's
may
right.
not.
That
And I've had to deal with this within my own family. That when the children are in interracial schools, that's more than likely something that could
because they may
happen.
get a crush on someone of a different color and start dating, and you have to warn them even when they go out on dates. Even here in Illinois, you do have to warn them. I try to, and everyone used to think I was such a racist and everything. I've never been a racist, but I've always been a pro-black or an advocate of black people. So I would always tell my brothers, my son, relatives, nephews, you should really try to find someone that looks like your aunt, looks like, only because many of them, not, I'm not saying anything against interracial marriages or anything like that, but it's only because when you're young and you're building a family and you're raising kids. Now, when a person gets 50 years old and can't have any kids, you just have a partner anyway. It don't matter who you hook up with. But when you're young, and even within, you go into the wrong place, you go into the wrong city, you go into the wrong area. But particularly when you're 17, 18, 19, 16 years old, and you're with this couple and you're in the wrong place.
I guess too what is part of this too is that he's a college student, so that's kind in 23, so deemed as older, and she's only 17. So I wonder if she could
He
be a
was
minor
20.
and
He
can.
was 20. He was
Oh, he was
20
20 when this
then, and
happened.
she was 17. But
Oh,
college don't
wait.
mean anything. When I went down to Terre Haute, they had Black Student Union sat us in an auditorium and told us there's parts of Terre Haute we don't want you going to at night. So even with and they had more interracial marriages and whatever than any town I've ever been in. You just have to be so careful. And if our kids do want to do that, we have to tell them that they have to be very conscious, stay
That's
woke,
what
and
if
be careful.
stay woke.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're going
If you're going to
to
do that,
if
people do what they want to do, but you got to stay woke.
and no one's looking at the fact as I'm looking at this a little bit closer that they were in a bar for adults 21 or older. You shouldn't have
So
even
they shouldn't have
allowed
even been.
them.
That's what I was thinking too.
Either both of them should not have been allowed, and then let the wrong person see you.
Well,
They're not
if you're
going to
in a
even be
public
honest.
place, so
You're in a
think
public
about it.
place.
If you're in a public place on the South Side when you were 17, don't you know somebody who know your parents could be there?
And that was not smart. And then you know that they're going to disagree with interracial
Of
relationships.
course, of course.
And I'm not saying for her, but he should have been smarter than that. It's just too much history to if he knows the climate of where he lives. It'd be
See,
different if he
I
lived on
don't
the
think I've
north
ever
side of
been to
Chicago.
Kansas. I've never been there.
I've only been to Kansas because my dear daughter went
She
to
graduated,
college in
right?
Kansas and
I've
has lived
never
there for the
been
last four.
there.
I had never gone
Okay.
until she went there, but driving through was an eye awakening when I'm the only one of my shade at every gas station and they're
Oh,
all turning to
really?
look at me and you feel like you're in Trump country
Oh
and
dear.
they're like, you all voted for Trump, didn't you? That I realized that
Yeah.
there are people who just don't.
You didn't drive alone, did you?
I did.
Yikes. How many hours was it?
It is 11 hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'm trying to go back. People don't want me to drive back by myself, so it was fun. Let's leave that there
Now
before I get in
you need
trouble
to
for
go with
trying to drive
somebody.
back.
You need to go with somebody and you don't need to drive alone, not 11 hours.
Yes,
But that's my little opinion, which means nothing. So, but that story bothered me because I'm like,
that's
that could have been anybody's son. 12
Kim
years.
Kardashian. Since you're working on
Yeah,
cases
get
now
that one
with your
out. You're right.
degree, your newfound interest in help this boy out, I'm gonna call for you, Kim, to come help him out of this situation. You understand interracial relationships. I think he needs to call on Kim Kardashian's help and influence to help him out of this situation
This is
because this is
that is
bad.
terrible. He's in jail. Ugh. Police are investigating a homicide after a brother of the Mariano's grocery store founder was found dead in northwest suburban Schaumburg. Joseph Mariano, 64, was found killed about 12:13 a.m. Sunday after officers responded to check the well-being of someone in a home at the 200 block of Dublin Lane, Schaumburg said in a statement. Mariano was a brother of the grocery store's founder and former CEO Bob Mariano, according to the Daily Herald. Police did not say how it appeared he was killed. I didn't really
Ooh.
even hear that on the
I did
major
not hear that.
networks.
You have good news. You all
They
have to
kind of
check into the Voices of Change on intellectualradio.com because you get the news you haven't heard, the news you can use.
the news. That's right, the news you can use, local and you know. Two men have been charged in the murder of a young mother who was holding. This was um, in the murder of a young mother who was holding her 1-year-old baby Tuesday in Chicago's Austin neighborhood. Michael Washington, 39, and Eric Adams, 23, were both charged with first-degree murder, police said. Brittany Hill, 24, was talking with two acquaintances outside a car Tuesday morning in the 1200 block of North Mason Avenue. She was holding her baby girl when police said Washington and Adams drove up, got out of their car, and shot her. During the incident, Hill tried to hide behind other parked vehicles while shielding her child, who was not injured. Hill also leaves behind a young son. The suspects were arrested later that same day in Urbana, where both men are from. The shooting is being investigated as a possible targeted attack against the people Hill was speaking with. Both men are scheduled to appear in bond court on Thursday. They said before those guys shot her, her baby turned around and was waving at him. Girl, I just, ugh.
Oh, I didn't hear. Oh, that is
Hmm.
horrible. People just don't have a regard for life anymore.
And they said they were targeting somebody in the car. That's oops. Yeah, we got to move this. Okay. This week, a former West Virginia county official, you remember her, who made headlines in 2016 for making racist remarks online about then First Lady Michelle Obama, is going to the slammer after being sentenced to prison time for misappropriating funds. According to WSAZ, Pam Ramsey Taylor, the former director of Clay County Development Corporation, a West Virginia based elderly nonprofit group, was fined $10,000 on Thursday and sentenced to 10 months in prison. Taylor admitted to authorities that she embezzled disaster relief funds by falsely registering for FEMA disaster benefits. Her sentence also mandates that she be confined to her home for 2 months after her release and remain under federal supervision for another 3 years. Now, who's laughing? She's the one that said Michelle looked like a gorilla.
Ah, I'm so sorry for her.
Mm,
I do not
mm,
feel sorry for her in one at the least bit. Go and do your time. You should have gotten more than 10 months. That's
I
nothing
agree.
for theft. So she'll get no pity from us.
For me, particularly not for me. I'm gonna go through these three because we only have half the show left. In her 7-year culinary career, Lee Chase did far more than introduce thousands to Creole cuisine. She fed presidents and freedom riders. She broke New Orleans segregation laws by seating black and white patrons together. The chef and civil rights activist died on Saturday. Condolences to her family. She was 96 years old. This is an interesting story, too, because I don't know how this happened. A protester grabbed the microphone from Senator Kamala Harris after jumping on stage during an event in San Francisco where the 2020 presidential hopeful was speaking. She had been discussing student loans for black students at Move On's Big Ideas Forum when Aiden Cook, a 24-year-old animal rights activist from Oakland, took the mic from Harris and began speaking. Karine Jean Pierre, MoveOn Chief's public affairs officer, immediately jumped from her seat next to Harris to intervene. Why was someone allowed to get on stage and take this woman microphone who's running for president? Why were they able to do all that?
There's no clue.
I
No
mean,
clue.
that is just. This is going to be my last story, I think. Yeah, my last story. On Saturday, Virginia Beach officials identified 40-year-old Dwayne Craddock. He's black
What do you do?
as the lone gunman who opened fire on municipal complex Friday afternoon, killing at least 12 and injuring many others, according to the Wall Street Journal. The shooting was retaliation because he was terminated from his longtime job as a city worker. According to the New York Times, public records show Craddock worked as a civil engineer in the Department of Public Utilities, the city's water and sanitary sewer services branch, for about 15 years. He previously worked for private firms as an engineer and said to have no obvious criminal history. I think he just snapped. I was surprised. I kept waiting to see who did this because they kept showing the
I
faces of
would
all the
be
people.
surprised that he's black. And
He's
now the
black.
last two mass shooters have been black.
That's kind of that's
That's odd. That wasn't a crime that we normally. If you let us go from a job, we're like deuces. I didn't like the job anyway. But
right. But people now are maybe your mental illness thing.
mental illness needs to be addressed because I know I've debated this
Are
where
we
the
putting
people saying
everything on
on
mental
mental
illness?
illness.
I'm just wondering, are some of these just criminals? Or are they just, I don't know.
He was an engineer, no
Yeah.
obvious criminal
No
history.
criminal.
So
Young. I mean, what made him? He lost his job. He was there, what, many years? 12 years, however many years.
unless his work in the
15
army,
years.
the National Guard had some. I don't know. I do believe there's an issue with mental illness, and employers better start
You
adding.
know what? And sometimes it's not what they do because anyone could get laid off, anyone could get, but it's how they
It's
do
how
it.
they
It
do
just,
it,
I don't,
and they better start. Uh, this should be some example because pride, how they handle these things. I know when I worked in the corporate setting, many times I've seen someone walk like the walk of shame of carrying their box with their
yeah,
things,
it's like how they do it. And
and
everyone knows, everybody's, what happened? What happened? What
everybody's
happened?
knows,
Yeah,
everybody's watching. Maybe that they need to start their practices and how they are doing this because ha- everybody can't handle things the same way. And I know mental illness sounds like a easy fix or an easy cop out because it is wrong to kill anyone
it is.
and
Yeah, 12 random people,
who had nothing usually to
nothing to
do
do.
with
Right.
your.
That's
But I do think that they need to add a mental health component into companies now. Uh, check in, well being, something needs to be added to these situations because one is too many, and two is
and it's been happening a lot. And I think because to your point, many are so insensitive. When I was in corporate, I saw many one time. The worst that I saw, I think, when I was in a meeting, and this was like she was at an executive level, and there were two men dressed like you thought they would be FBI or security or something. They were dressed in suits. They came in there and told her, "We got to go. You have to come with us." Now she's leading the meeting. We're sitting in a meeting like, "What's going on?" They walked her out, would not let. She said, "Can I go get my purse?" I said, "No." "Can I use the bathroom?" "No." They walked her out like she was a common criminal because she was being terminated for whatever reason, downsized or whatever. I've seen other instances where managers just pick at someone or they don't like a person or you're not in the clique or whatever. So to your point, they have to be more sensitive to that or we're going to see this escalate.
Oh, Chris says there needs to be some work release counseling in these circumstances and that he had a psychological breakdown. And I do believe
Well,
there's
anybody
a.
who loses a good job making, he's probably making 100 grand plus.
And you feel like a lot of people
Right.
devote a lot of time and effort to their
Yeah.
jobs,
You're
their own
working 10
personal
hour day.
time,
Yeah.
trying to meet quotas and trying to mean you feel like you've given them so much and they treat you like they don't care about you when it's time to let you go. And everybody cannot handle those situations. So I agree, Chris. There needs to be counseling, not just even when they're about to let you go because that may be too late. I mean, what
Right.
you've done to them in the meantime, so that should be included in what you offer, and or just do it differently because you don't know to give them the counseling beforehand, and you may
Right.
offer it and they're already pissed and about to shoot him because how
Right.
they did it.
Because how they did it. You know how they.
So I do feel that is a start. If they want to add guns to schools to stop the shootings, they need to add something to the
That is so.
workplace.
And Cynthia says mental illness is real. We do not do a good job of addressing it. No, we
I
don't.
agree.
We don't. Now we're going to talk about our topic today. That is the news you can use. Our topic today is, as I mentioned before, it kind of started out because we were talking about dating, dating. Why don't women now, and to call in, our number is 708 223 8953. 708 223 8953. Why don't we see like it was years ago where women and young girls would get all dressed up and get ready to go on this real nice date with this guy? Now it's like when they date, it's like, you know what? I stopped by your house. We could do you have Netflix? We can do Netflix and watch a movie. What's changed? What's changed?
Now I'm going to say that
Okay.
I and you may have been in somewhat similar. I was married for many years and then back on the dating scene, and that's when I noticed
That's when it,
the
yeah,
change.
that's, yeah,
And so for
yeah.
me, I didn't gradually see it happen.
Because we weren't in the dating
We weren't
circle.
in the
So
dating circle when it was evolving, and it was like being thrust into this situation. Like, oh, well, that's how we do this. I
it's
mean,
like, what are you talking
no
about?
one dating is seems obsolete, or so few people believe in what I consider a date to be. So, like you say, what has changed? So, guys, tell us. We would like to hear your opinions on what you think has changed. 708-223-8953. So, one thing I thought was one thing I noticed were women weren't some women weren't really requiring. They were okay with not going on dates.
They've been in this culture since they've been dating. So that's how they hook. That's how they get together.
And
That
they feel like I should be able to. Just like guys can hook up with
right,
they have needs, wants and needs, so they are going to just hook up just like guys hook up, and I can
right.
do what you do, which then guys didn't. They were like, hey, no date, no, I didn't want to really do that
Well,
anyway.
it's really interesting because some of the guys, well, the guys who I talked to, I should preface, they weren't like 20 some years old. So you're like 40 and up. So they probably have a different mindset than someone 19 or 20.
So I love to
So
hear, like,
I'd
what were
love to
they
hear
saying?
someone 19 or 20. But the point of the conversation was the guys used to ask girls out on real dates rather than just asking them out for, I don't know, a quick movie, or what is this thing about coffee? Let's go get coffee.
Because
You
it's
want to get
cheaper.
coffee at 6 o'clock in the evening. Anyway, um, we've all been hearing this more and more and more. So what actually happened? Okay, so it says for men, dating isn't such a carefree experience. Now, in my mind, they thought that dating for women back then was very carefree because all they had to do was say yes and be coy and be ready and be at the date. First of all, asking a girl out on an actual date, no, no, to ask them out, to even say, "Will you go out with me?" was stressful because a fear of rejection, which I thought it was kind of easy for a guy to ask a girl out.
No, I have heard that so
That
often.
I said fear, stressful.
They say that we have it easy, and that's why so many men are saying women should start asking men out, because why leave it all on them and the stress of it.
But that was kind of surprising because I didn't. It seems like they ask everybody. I just thought they just, you want to go out. It's not a big deal. If you say no, yes, fine.
That's the thing, is that unfortunately it does feel, and I don't want to speak for guys. I'm only going to speak for what men have told me when we've had the discussions on this. So I'm not saying I know. I'm only going to repeat, and I'm just putting that out there because I know someone will say, you don't know how guys think. I know I'm not a guy.
Right. I don't. And again, I'm not a guy. This is just for my conversations.
These are what we're repeating what we've been told, that that is how women are turning them down. Like, I can't even believe you say something, and then how that makes them feel. Like, why would you even come to me like that, or what? And so
Oh,
now they're feeling a certain way because of how women are responding to them. Like, no, why? Like, why would you even ask me? So being presented with that multiple times makes them feel like,
I get that then because I just thought it was when they said it was stressful. Even it's like, what do you mean you have to get the nerve to ask? And they go, well, rejection. I mean,
and
it's
how they're being
real.
rejected. They're not
Okay,
getting nice. No, you're a really nice guy,
right.
and I just don't think.
Well,
No,
that
they're
because that's how
getting.
we would do. We say,
That's
no,
how we
I
would
don't,
do it.
but you're right.
But
But
they're being met with, no, you don't even have on your matching shoes with your socks. That don't even match your outfit. No, you don't have no nerve to come stop to me. Talk to me when you get your stuff together.
oh my god.
So,
Okay, I get that. Thank you very much, Ms. Wanda. Then the next thing that they were saying was next we have to plan out the perfect sequence of events and activities so that the lady has a good time. They said planning can be extremely stressful also because we want this date to be successful. Many hate planning, and they also say when they ask a lady, okay, so what do you like to eat? What restaurants do you like? They don't know, or they pick the same old thing. I'm not going to even say what the name of the place.
what is it? Red
Red Lobster.
Lobster.
And I said, well, if it's red, why don't you go with
Just
that
go to
then?
Red Lobster.
Go with that.
The cheap date place.
That's what, but they tell me, okay, because I said, well, why not just go with that? I mean, it's a place you've been to. They said, but Red Lobster ain't cheap. Well, you get 3 or 4 drinks each. And a
Red
dinner. It's
Lobster is
not
not
cheap.
cheap anymore.
It's not cheap.
They keep going up on the same ultimate feast. It used to be $17,
Right.
and now it's almost 30 something to play for the ultimate feast you used to get back in the day. So what I've heard is I had a show on this once, and a younger guy was on here too. Joker, I think if I get your name right, I hope hopefully I'm not saying the wrong Joker.
Joker. Oh, I thought you were saying Joker.
That
Okay.
was Joker.
Okay,
It was
Joker.
his
I'm
name,
sorry.
and he said that it gets costly when you're not just dating one person, and then so you're dating multiple people,
Oh.
and so he was like that adds up, and I only make so much, and women are making more than guys nowadays. And I'm just regurgitating information I've been told,
Okay.
and that then this starts to add up for him, which then brought about to just take you out to coffee, because then spending $10 and going on 3 dates a week, or spending 100, and then I could only date you for the month because that was my
And
budget.
that was the next thing they were saying. Okay, now after doing all this, after the stress of asking her, she said yes. Then I got to plan it and plan this perfect place. Then I got to pay for it all, and they never offered to. I said, "You mean so you go on a first date and you expect?" They go, "No, we don't really expect, but it would be nice if someone would say, well, you want us to take care of that or take care of the tip or blah blah blah." And I'm like,
But okay, so this is another kind. I have the show. He said, she said. Janice mentioned this, so this is like such a common like topic, and I have a group on Facebook that we have these kind of conversations. And this is what they say, that women go places that they wouldn't normally take themselves to when it's time for a date, and women will
I've
come back
heard that they'll
and
drink
say
more expensive
they
drinks.
drink more expensive
I
drinks. They'll try meals. They said they'll try meals that they don't wouldn't necessarily because they're not paying, or they will
I
even
heard
get
that.
appetizers. They'll get two appetizers and get two,
And
and,
Andre, what?
and they'll go. I've in some expensive. Now women would counteract and say to them, I treat myself this way, so I will expect you to treat me this way, because I do take myself to nice restaurants. Why would I say to you Red Lobster when I take myself to Ruth Chris?
But let me ask this: are you conscious of the cost when you go on a date? I'm not talking about a first date because the first date is supposed to be special. You're supposed to try to impress or whatever. But if you know someone, aren't you conscious of what they're going to be spending?
Not all women are, and I
Okay.
know this as a fact
Okay.
only because in the group I we this is one major thing that's come up, and we'll have 300 and some odd comments of
Okay.
men and women going back and forth, and women will say that if you can't afford it, don't ask me out. If you can't afford the date, I shouldn't have
No, I'm
to
just yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying what I've heard
Okay.
women say.
Okay.
Now let me speak for myself. I follow the lead of what he's getting, kind of. I don't know if that's like an unwritten rule for
Mhm.
me, that if he got something in this price range, I'm going to be
Right.
looking.
In the
I
same
do
right.
kind
You're
of
kind of conscious of it.
conscious, but there are women that are not, and I know there are women that are not.
Yeah.
They will tell you that I'm not. If you ask me out, I'm not going to sit there watching what you chose the place. You should know what you should spend. You should be ready for whatever I purchase because you chose it.
And do these women feel like that after multiple dates? I
They
understand
don't
the
care
first date.
about first date with the same guy. I don't know if this call is for us or,
I know.
but let's answer it. The button.
This one?
The yes. Intellectual Radio. What's your name and what are you calling for?
My name is Trisha Tribble. I was actually calling in to support Phoenix Tyler.
Okay. You know what? Can you call back in about give us 2 minutes?
Okay. Will
Okay,
do.
thanks. Women do.
Okay.
Or they then
Okay.
will be more, maybe they don't if they start to like him. I think anyone once they start
To like
really
a person, right?
then
Then
they're
you're kind of conscious
more
of it, yeah.
you're more
Because you're not.
but I'm
No,
conscious of it from
I
day
am too.
one
I'm
either.
I'm conscious of money. Wait, but I'm very
Well,
conscious.
yeah. Our
I'm
money
I'm very
guru here.
I'm very conscious of it. But ultimately, some of these guys, these again, we're a little older guys. Some of them said, "Well, this is how it works now. If I see potential in a girl, in a woman, and I think we could possibly have a relationship or a future, Then I try to impress and I go on a date. If it's somebody who I think is attractive, but I like her, or maybe we're just gonna be whatever hookup, then I go the Netflix or the coffee or the cheaper route. I said, no, you don't.
No first for me. No, absolutely, and maybe for other women, but no first dates at your home. No,
Oh
not
no.
ever doing a first
Mm-mm.
date at someone's
No.
home. Chris says lower standards for women. Younger men are broken, unambitious, so they are not looking for anything long term and sustainable. And men have become more passive as women become more aggressive and ambitious.
Oh, that's
These
good. Hmm.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Or
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying. These men are becoming more intimidated by these women.
Jeez.
And as women are starting to make more, you make less, and then you're trying to take a woman out to a place that impresses her when she does make more than you. And you may know that just based on the title of her job.
Right.
That if she's an attorney and you're I don't know what job, let's say you work at McDonald's
Or whatever. Yeah.
or whatever, the
You may feel
you
intimidated.
may feel a little intimidated by taking out the that you need to impress her with, or you don't even maybe have enough to take her out. So coffee is an easy way not to be put in that situation maybe.
Hmm.
So what else did the guy say? What else did
that
they
that's
say?
that was about it. Then they talked about how easy things are, particularly with social media, and how you can kind of hook up so easily with Tinder and all these other things that you can hook up. All you need is a cell phone to hook up, so it's really easy depending on what your objective is. If you want, normally what you want is, anyway, if you want something quick or you want just something, just a warm body, it's really easy to get that. You don't have to even go through all that. So I just thought it was
Th-
interesting. So the dating scene, in essence, and ultimately, the dating scene has morphed and changed over 20 years.
like you just said though, if the ultimate thing, sometimes taking you to dinner was ultimately to get sex
Yeah,
in
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
instances.
Yeah. Even then,
So
yeah.
now some women have even taken that little part out and just given it. So now why do I need to take you
And
out?
that's how they feel. And it's like,
Why do I need
okay,
to spend all this with you? And I can go to her and just take her to Kentucky Fried Chicken and then we JJ Fish
right, right, and we're good. And
or
she's
Harold's
full,
with some mild sauce and she's happy.
and she's
But you
happy.
want me to take you. And I do feel that's changed the game
It
some.
has. It's changed the game.
And I don't know about you, but I think we may have similar where we come from an era of we have expectations before we even start thinking, expectations of getting to know you before we even start getting to the point of thinking, being intimate with you.
Right, right.
And that part has changed with
That's changed too.
just the younger girls. I mean, with songs, the music they listen.
Oh,
We listen
jeez.
to love songs, treat her like a lady.
Right,
There's very
right.
few treat her like a lady songs
No,
out
no.
there. These ain't loyal is what they listen to. So we're being treated a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's
And
it's a different it's a different world out there, So it's just how it is. But how does someone, and I think you've had a show on this, and I know we have to wrap. How does someone who has not been out there and suddenly is out there and it's a game changer, things are totally different. How do we handle that? How do you handle that? Or do you
so
just don't
hard.
go out?
Now I do think that is trying to, and this may sound horrible. I'm
No,
very aware of this, that we may have to start searching out real like-minded people, and if that means going with a different age bracket than
that is true.
what are
Like-minded, true.
what are typical, I'm looking for someone this and who had, we may have to go outside of that box to get the certain things that were, which may mean that we're looking at someone, if we went from this age to this age, we need to bring it up a little bit more.
Possibly, yeah,
Possibly just
yeah.
throwing out ideas. Maybe if he had to be 6 feet, now we may go with 5'11".
Some people do have those height requirements. I know I never understood that, but some people do.
Maybe. So
Yeah,
maybe we
yeah.
have to go outside of that. Chris said, that's what I mean by women lowering the bar and making it too easy for men. Yes, I do believe. Now, do you believe that though? That women
What
are set the tone for this, or do men set the tone for this? How does this? Where does that begin and end?
I think generally now, in my opinion, I think men are setting the tone. Women who set the tone aren't typical. So I think now men are setting the tone. I think women have set the tone so long. Unfortunately, some women exploited that position, and I think now a generation down, they feel like we're not having this. So I think it's different now. I think it's different now. Um, I feel like some of us do still set the tone because we demand it, and many times that you know we're where we're at.
But it does seem like the pickings are slimmer
Yeah,
when you're
it does.
demanding
It
something
does.
with
Right.
all these people who aren't demanding it.
I know. So it's like, why even bother with your
With your picky butt. When
right?
I got 80 girls over here who
Yeah,
will do
waiting
it
on
for
me, right?
pride.
So and I get that, and that's okay. So
And so that's we just, I guess, have to get more creative. I don't know what
yeah,
the answer
yeah.
to, and we can keep doing shows on this
For
because
real,
we won't be
I
able to
don't know. I don't
answer
know
it
what the answer is
in an
either.
hour. So
Yeah, but it's interesting talk, and I know when we talked about dating before, I did know that dating has just totally. I thought it was just in my opinion. I'm like, man, it's different, but it's generally how it is.
now you said is chivalry dead?
Oh, those were yeah. We kind of touched. Oh, I didn't even touch
Yeah,
on that because I knew we were wrapping.
I know we have to wrap, but I do think that has changed a lot.
But that men tell me, okay, here I go again. With the chivalry being dead, men tell me because they don't know how to come to women. They said when they come to them and they try to open their door or they try to be nice, some of them snap at them. I'm like, who you trying to open the door for? And they go, no, I tried to open the door for someone or try to be a gentleman. They go, I can do that. You don't have to do that for me. And it's like, what?
And
So I don't know. I'm hearing both sides, and I was like, that's why I didn't even. I knew we had limited time,
yes,
but
limited time. The
we
home
talked about.
training maybe is different
I
because
don't know.
maybe there are women who
But why wouldn't you want a man to treat you nice? Even a stranger.
maybe they take that as you're trying to
Talk
say
to me and who are you or something. I don't know.
right or take away their power and some I can
Yes.
do this.
And that's how they come at them, so
And so now some men are getting tired of
so they don't even
that
try it.
happening,
They just go,
which isn't the answer.
it's not the
That's
answer.
not the answer. And I don't like, though, that women are judged by the worst of us.
Well, but that's normally how it is, right?
Yes.
Just like many times men are judged by the worst.
So
So,
true.
I mean, I'm sure there's many great men and nice men out there, but typically, you think
All men are
those,
dogs.
right, right. That's what you
That's what
typically,
you typically hear.
So
So
yeah, so
great show,
well,
Janice. Thank you for having me. I
I am
love
so,
being
I'm
here.
so glad Miss Wanda was here because I was all by myself today, and it's such a joy having her here, and it's a joy having you here too. I'm so glad all of you tuned in, and tune in again next week at 6 p.m. on the Voices of Change, only on Intellectual Radio, and have a great week. And thank you, Chris. I appreciate all of your comments. And Ronnie Walton, thank you. Steve Cabell, thank you. Cynthia, thank you. Randall Sargent, thank you. Okay, we're off.
I thought you were giving thanks.
I am. And Denise Major, thank you. Angela Johnson, hey, thank you. And Charmaine Give and Take Cuz, thank you, thank you, thank you. Kathy Hampton, hey girl, thank you. Steve Upshur, thank you so much for being on. Valerie Williams,